Hello, friends. Today is a new unit. So, we're going to talk about some expressions and equations today. And with these expressions, we are going to direct your attention down here to the bottom. What is the difference between an expression and an equation? Notice an expression would be something like 4x plus 2. However, an equation has an equal sign in which I am going to solve for an x or a y or some sort of a variable. All right, speaking of variable, it's in our vocabulary startup. And so looking right here, I see a variable is a symbol that represents an unknown quantity. So a variable varies as to what it stands for. So a variable x in one expression could be equal to 3. Then in another expression, x could be equal to 7 or 9 or 3.2. So now we have an algebraic expression. So it means I have a variable with some numbers, and it contains variables, numbers, and at least one operation. Okay, and there's my operation. All right, so we go on to slide 2. On slide 2, then, you see we want to evaluate an algebraic expression. And the word evaluate means to solve. So I need to know what these parts are that I am going to solve. So if I have 6 right next to the letter D, that means 6 times. Remember, anything that is right next to each other means to multiply. 9 times S times T, you see they are all right next to each other. M right next to N means to multiply. A to the third power means A times A times A. So we have some parts of an algebraic expression. We have a coefficient. The prefix co means to work with. So this coefficient, this 7, works with this variable n. And so we know that 7 right next to n means to multiply. The operation is a plus sign in this. And my constant, it is constantly going to be 2. Why? Because that is a number. The number is always 2. 2 equals 2. Says the numerical factor of a multiplication expression that contains a variable is called a coefficient. So 6 is the coefficient of 6d. Expressions like y over 2, otherwise known as y divided by 2, can be written as y divided by 2 or y times a 1/2. All right. So number 1, I say evaluate 2 right next to n plus 3. If n equals a -4. So wherever I see an n, I will substitute the -4. So let's rewrite this. I have 2. For n, I'm going to put in a -4 plus 3 parentheses. And so we know we solve what is in the parentheses first. I have a -4 plus 3. Same signs add and keep? No. Different signs subtract. It is correct. Take the sign of the higher number. 4 is obviously higher. There are more negatives, and then you'll be exact. We still need to keep this in parentheses because I'm not quite done with it. 2 is right next to -1. What did we say if it was right next to it? Of course, we are going to multiply. And so 2 times a -1 is a -2. All right, next slide. So we are going to evaluate 8w minus 2v. All right, so you will rewrite this 8 times w, and in this case, w is 5, and minus 2 right next to v, and v is 3. And so what are we going to do to solve this? You will multiply. 8 times 5 is 40, minus 2 times 3 is 6. 40 minus 6 is 34. Notice that I had to solve both of my multiply problems before I did subtraction. So you must do correct order of operations. And with order of operations, we have, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right, so starting with number 3. I have 4y to the third power plus 2 if y equals 3. So I put my 4, y to the third power. That means 3 to the third power plus 2. Okay, so what is 3 to the third power? Well, that means 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, and you will finish solving. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So 3 to the third power is 27. Plus 2 is 29. I solve what's in parentheses. And 29 right next to 4 means to multiply. So I do a little 29 times 4 multiply. 9 times 4 is 36. Carry 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 9, 10, 11. 116 will be my final product. All right. At this time, I would like for you to do A. So let's go down to our got it. To find the area of a triangle, use the formula B times H over 2, which means base times height, all divided by 2, where B is the base and H is the height. What is the area in square inches of a triangle? Let's draw ourselves a little triangle with a height of 6 inches and a base of 8 inches. Let's just start substituting. The base is 8 next to the height of 6, all divided by 2. 6 times 8 is 48, divided by 2. Divided by 2 equals 12. Okay, and let's go on to our next slide. So we are going to write some expressions. And so what we need to do is we need to set up our own variables for an expression. So it says Marissa wants to buy a DVD player that costs $150. She already has saved $25 and she plans to save $10 each week. We don't know how many weeks though. Write an expression that represents the total amount of money that Marissa has saved. So the words talk about savings of $25 plus $10 each week. So we're going to let W stand for the number of weeks. So we already have $25. We're going to add to it $10 times some weeks. I just don't know how many weeks there are. Okay. And let's continue on. Next slide. So we have an MP3 player costs $70. So that's important information. We will underline it. And song downloads cost 85 cents each. Write an expression that represents the cost of an MP3 player and the number X of downloaded songs. Then to find the total cost of 20 songs are downloaded. So let's start looking at this. The cost of the MP3 player. Well, it's pretty simple. We already said that it was 70. I need to add to it songs. Well, 85 cents is for one download. Do I know how many downloads there are? The answer is no, I don't yet. And so it says X number of downloads. So I'm going to multiply those two together. So this is my expression. $70 plus 85 cents times every download. So if I had 20 downloads, where would the 20 go? Right, it would go in place of the X. What does it mean if they are right next to each other? It means to multiply. So, solve this example. Okay, so we are going to go on and we're going to do number 1. Number 1 says 3m plus 4p, and m is 2 and p is a negative 4. 3 times m is 3 times 2 plus 4 right next to p means 4 times whatever the value of p is, which is a negative 4. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 4 times a negative 4 is a negative 16. These two signs make 1 minus. 6 minus 16 is a negative 10. At this time, you will solve number 2. Okay, so we have some independent practice problems here. You will work on several of these, and you will answer them in your Ed puzzle.